Okay, I'm going to call the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order for Monday, February 24th. We have one case, and then there's someone who's asked to have an informal discussion with us about another property afterwards. So we'll do that after we complete this case. So let's see, and for the record, we have a full house tonight. We have our regular members, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Curran, Mr. Keeman, myself, and Dick Blas. And we also have our associate members, Mr. Kimball and Mr. Jones, present. Cal, what is the case number on this? Does it say on the... Okay, this is going to call a hearing to order for case number 3, 455 Franklin Street. Type of district, limited industrial and residence A2. Type of structure, existing warehouse and storage building. Owner's name, Revolution LLC. Owner's address, 116 Park Ave, East Bridgewater. When did you acquire this property? May 28th, 2023. Has application been filed with town clerk? Yes. Has any previous appeal been made? No. Section of bylaw of which relief is requested, section 240-7.2 site plan. Present use, wholesale business, storage, and a roof structure is allowed. Reason for asking relief, applicant wishes to utilize existing structures as storage area for insulation products. This case was advertised in the Whitman Hanson Express on February 6th and February 13th. Sitting on the case will be Mr. Andrews, Mr. Curran, Mr. Keeman, Mr. Blas, and myself, John Goldrosen. Before I go further, I just want to state the meeting is being recorded and will be transmitted to Whitman Hanson Community Television for to be put on their website and their YouTube page. So this time we'll have the reading of the list of abutters, unless I hear a motion to waive the reading of the list of abutters.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Andrews. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Keeman. All in favor? 5-0. Okay. Anyone who's here to be heard on this case, would you please raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Who is making the presentation for the applicant? Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Thank you, John. Kyle Garvey representing Revolution LLC, owner of the property at 655 Franklin Street.
455.
455?
Yeah.
Can't read my writing. And Jay, who is the owner of Revolution and also the owner of Three Brothers Insulation. Revolution purchased this property from Roy Vespa on April 28th, 2023. And the Vespas purchased the property in 1981 from Richard McCann, who owned a steel construction business at that time. The Vespas ran a sandblasting company at the site for over 40 years, mostly sanding cars and car frames. The lot was created in 1960 and was originally part of the abutting Cabral piece that contains around 5 acres. The site is located on the westerly side of Franklin Street and is shaped as a pork chop lot. Contains 19,819 square feet of land. It has 2 buildings on it that are pretty old. On the site, the 2 buildings are 220 feet back from Franklin Street. The site lies within 2 zones, the residence A2 zone that abuts Franklin Street, and the rear portion where the buildings are within the limited industrial zone. The site contains only two butters, Robert Cabral to the south and to the west, and along the northerly property line would be the Wang property that was a newer house that was built by Nate Elliott not too long ago that was created as a variance on that lot. The site buildings I use for the owner's insulation company, Three Brothers, that stores insulation products on the site, along with trucks used to transporting insulation, blown insulation, and some roll insulation to customers' homes and businesses. The use is allowed within the industrial zone, requiring site plan approval. The main building is connected to the town sewer and water municipal system in Franklin Street. And basically, they got my recommendations for this property is that the use only be used for the insulation business, and that trucks or vehicles for this property be allowed to park only within the industrial zone. All vehicles must be registered. No outside storage. Presently, they take a lot of their trash to the Taunton Municipal dump. They store whatever they bring back, they store in there, so there is no rubbish storage outside. He's requesting that the hours of operation be from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, and Saturday, 8 to 4. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. As if you've gone up there, you notice the building is set way down in the back. It drops around 16 feet down to the rear of the property, surrounded by woodland mostly. And like I say, there's been a commercial building on this property since 1960, when it was cut off from, at that time, it was the Shanley property back in 1960.
Okay. Kyle, you kind of read off a couple of conditions that you would be acceptable. Could you repeat those? Because I'm just going to jot them down.
That the use is for the installation business only. Vehicles be allowed to park only in the industrial portion of the lot. Vehicles on site must be registered. No outside storage be allowed. Hours of operation, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, and Saturday, 8 to 4.
Okay. And what was the use previously? Before
Sandblasting.
Okay.
So owned by Roy Vespa owned that for years, and he sandblasted a lot of vehicles, frames, and that type of stuff.
Okay. All right. Let me read a couple of letters from town boards into the record. I'll ask the building inspector to comment on this too. From Whitman Fire Rescue and Emergency Services. Dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, at this time, Whitman Fire Rescue and Emergency Services has no objection to this proposal, provided all applicable fire and building codes are met. Sincerely, Nicholas Grasso, Deputy Fire Chief. From the Board of Health, the Whitman Board of Health has no objections for the petition of Revolution LLC for a variance from Section 240-7.2, it's actually site plan rule, as the applicant wishes to utilize existing structures as storage area for insulation products for the property located at 455 Franklin Street. DPW records indicate that the covered property is connected to municipal water and sewer. Sincerely, Daniel Kelly. Building inspector, do you have any comments on this?
I have no concerns based on Mr. Garvey's presentation and his suggestion. At one point, I did speak to the owner because he did have some other use going on in the storage building. And being presented as just the insulation use, I think that's a good use for the property. So no, I don't have any concerns at this point.
Okay. Just for the record, can we get your name? It was Jay. What's your last name?
Delia, Delaia.
Okay. Okay, let me go to questions from the board. We'll see what comes up. I'll start at the end, and Mr. Jones, even though you're not sitting as a voting member on the case, do you have any comments or questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Mr. Andrews?
Mr. Gardner, do both buildings exist now?
Oh, yeah.
Both buildings?
Yeah, they've been there.
So all you're looking for is a use?
Correct,
It's a change in use, so they have to come to us for site plan.
No buildings of extension or anything?
No.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Mr. Curran?
I'd like to thank the building commissioner for getting him here. Thank you for that, Rob. I know the property really well. I know Vesco was running the business. He was operating he would sandblast more car frames and bodies. He would do probably 3 a month. And then the business went quiet. I think while he was trying to sell it, I'm thinking the last 3 or 4 years. But then I started getting calls because people still have my number on their phone about the new businesses being operated there. So I could give the board some information about what used to be there. My concern is that any interference with, I think there was two new houses next to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking that might be an issue with the neighbors. And I don't really have an issue with it being commercial. And I think Carl came up with most of the issues that I think the neighbors would have a problem with. The other question is 441 Franklin Street. Who is that listed as? Is it Nathan Elliott?
No, it's, let's see.
I just don't know if the new.
No, it's listed as Juju Win Wang and Yin Kiel Wang.
So that's the new owners, which is good. So they got a notice?
They got a notice.
Yeah, good.
Have you had any conversation with your neighbors about this?
No, I hardly see them.
Right.
I normally get there in the morning, even on Christmas and stuff like that. I drive by, I don't see them. Looks like they're like a doctor or something.
I did speak to Mr. Cabral, and I told him some of these conditions, and he was pleased with them. He just would like it to be kept up and no outside trash and all that. But I did go over each one of these with him, and he was happy with it.
You didn't have any problems with it?
I think with the conditions that Carl was proposing, he didn't have a problem with it. So, and again, anybody that I spoke to was not, they didn't want this business gone. They just wanted it under control. They were concerned about trucks parked in the driveway, all up in the residential zone, and there was some auto body work being done behind the larger building there. So I think that what Carl's come up with, I think it's great. I think
Okay.
this would keep this property going. As long as
There was some problems with an auto body guy. When I first started my survey, the guy was working out of this building right here. And the day I was there, he was starting to clear all his stuff out of there. He had asked him to leave. So by the time I finished we were back there, the building was totally vacant at that time.
So you're not gonna let the auto body guy back?
No.
So you keep it
Because
quiet?
that was kind of like one of the mistakes that we did as to try and bring more revenue, as it is, how expensive stuff is. So I rented out, but then the noises start being too much, and every month he keep freaking, going further with the noise that he was making until that point that we start having an issue. I just asked him to move out, and that's it.
So any vehicles you have on the property will be registered, insured, and operational?
Yes.
And you won't have any outdoor storage?
No.
So it'll be clean all the time?
Yep.
All right. And that's all I have,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to propose as an additional condition, just kind of reinforce that it's for the installation business only, that there be no subleasing of spaces to other parties, so that we,
All right.
just that. All right, Mr. Keeman?
My only question is any of the insulation products that you're storing there flammable?
No.
Okay, that's all I ask.
Mr. Kimball?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a couple concerns. First of all, I drove by the property today, and I wasn't going to go down the driveway with my four-wheel drive truck because I didn't think it was going to be coming out. So I would like to see at least the driveway a few feet down be paved, because my concern is if I've got a vehicle trying to get out and he gets stuck, he's gonna affect traffic on Franklin Street. Second thing is, I would like to make sure that we only drive into the property and we turn around on the property, as opposed to trying to back a 45-foot trailer down the property.
Yeah, no backing out is, yeah.
Good point.
Had you considered at least paving, say, sort of the lip, the top of the driveway?
Yeah, that is still kind of like, we're working on it, because you know how hard it is to make money.
Yeah.
And that's gonna cost a good chunk of change to pave it, but we're working on it to do that, to make it better.
But
To be
even,
honest, I wanna pave the whole property at some point, but start with the driveway
Yeah.
for now.
because even if you just paved at the very top of the property where it goes on to Franklin Street, you know, without doing the whole driveway, even if you just paved,
40 feet or something.
yeah,
like that.
yeah, it would just,
Enough traction for a truck to get.
yeah, and it wouldn't be bringing any gravel from the driveway onto the roadway. I think that would, and I'll make that a condition, but at least something, you know, recommendation for you to consider.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
if I may?
yes.
Just because it was brought up, one of the abutters concerning trash, are you gonna have a dumpster on site?
I was going to ask about that.
No, because normally, if I have to, I'll get a dumpster, but I'll try not, because we always put the trash on the side of the building there, and once a week, we haul them up to the place in Taunton for a dump.
Well, I would at least want, if you don't have a dumpster, I'd at least want the trash kept inside a building rather than outside. I mean, what,
That was one of my conditions, John.
okay, yeah, well,
Which my understanding was, you know, they do come back with some leftover insulation.
I'm sure you- yeah.
Which I kind of thought would go in here. Here they keep all the new stuff, but and they have room for a repair to a truck. But my feeling was that it was going to be kept in that building.
yeah, I was going to ask you what the second building that's labeled as a storage building, what you were using that for.
Yeah, that was just like for smaller stuff there, to keep it out of the big building.
So that's where you could put
Yep.
the trash.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so besides storage materials, we'll add the word "or trash," and I think that'll make it
Not to
clear.
be- yeah,
Yeah,
I would put trash in.
yeah, no, outside storage of materials.
No, that's what I'm trying to do now, yep. Because even now, the space is not like a huge space. Whenever I'm on a trash or get it, I always try and get it quickly as possible out of there too.
Yeah, I was going to ask about, I think the question was asked about flammability, but is there any, well, first of all, in terms of the main building, besides storing material in there, are you intending to do any repairs to your vehicles in there? Or is,
The trucks, whenever we need to, if I can, yes.
all right, so to the building inspector, does that raise any,
We're not gonna call it another repair place, right?
No,
And-
definitely
and
not.
when you're doing repairs, what are you doing? Oil changes?
Yeah, not the oil change, it's just more like brakes and whatever problem comes, like let's say, right now I have one of the trucks that has a problem with the heater. So being cold, so I'll put in there to work on the heater and stuff like that. Cause I know the oil change, I don't like that.
It's a steel building, correct?
Yeah,
We don't wanna have to get into sprinklers and things along.
That's
those lines.
right.
If you're gonna have paper goods and plastics in there, I think you're gonna have to have some sort of separation between where you're working on these things.
mm-hmm.
so, I mean, I'll leave it to the building inspector to enforce, obviously, what's
Again,
needed for
Treat
the,
it like a homeowner's garage, they can do repairs on their own vehicles within a homeowner's garage.
Inside the building with the doors closed.
yes, I was going to make that with a condition, yeah.
But again, we don't wanna have stuff piled up to the point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm just alerting to you to, you'll need to coordinate this with the building inspector and with the fire department, that you could reach a point where you start raising fire code issues and imposing additional expenses on yourself. That, there may be some repairs, you're better off sending it somewhere else than getting into having to modify the building,
Prefer
so,
not to see torches and grinders in there, how's that?
All right, that sounds good.
okay,
I
so,
don't want that either.
really,
If you're doing repairs, you're gonna need torches and grinders.
yeah, okay, and how many employees do you have at any time?
Rent out total of five guys.
Okay. So, I mean, I see 3 parking spaces shown on there, but, and how many trucks do you have?
Right now I got 4 trucks.
Okay. So, I suppose, Kyle, you could extend you could have more.
Guys like him and his brother, and then there's 2 other guys, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't seen an employee's car there since I've been, I don't
Yeah.
know how they get there.
But if they were, you could have more stretch out that employee parking area and just where you're showing an extra truck behind the warehouse, that could go over alongside the truck that's
Yeah, I
shown
mean,
by
they
the
could-
storage building. That could
There
go,
was a storage truck out of there that's gonna have to be removed, it's not registered, so.
okay, all right. But you've got room up, what I'm saying, the top where you have one vehicle shown up by the storage, between the storage building and the 40-foot property line, the sort of the upper
Yeah,
left corner, yeah.
yeah.
So a second truck could go there
Yeah.
and have more employee parking in back. All right. I think that's it, Mr. Blas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions. My first one has been answered. It was about paving, because I see, it appears that around the buildings, everything is dirt. Is there any water issues during our,
It all goes right into.
our 100-year storms that happen like every 6 months?
Not really.
No.
No.
Is the,
It drops off pretty quick in the
Right.
back towards, there is a drainage ditch that comes out behind the Cabral piece. I think if you remember, we had a wetland issue behind this house, and it went way out on the second house that Nate built, which we went to the conservation on. And everything flows actually here in a northerly direction, then swings around, eventually goes out towards the railroad tracks in the meadow. But it slopes off pretty good there if you look at
yeah,
the
it goes
road.
downhill.
Yeah, I mean, that's, causing there.
All right, thank you.
Is there any problem with the erosion on the gravel driveway?
There,
Yeah, it's
there,
pretty
has,
steep.
there hasn't been. And there was a paved area in here before, but what happened was they put a septic line going up from this building here, a force main that pumps up to the town stub that was left. They also put a water line going down there, and I think it disturbed that area. This was years ago, but there was some remains of paving in here or processed material. So you can see where it was all dug up, and I did notice myself that one of the trucks went over towards the Cabral piece and shouldn't have gone over there. And, I think he gets stuck there actually.
So that'd be another reason to just pave that upper section
Yeah, I
as
mean,
we discussed.
the first 40 feet could be paved.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that in.
Or at least the what do they call it? The tailings from grinding.
Mhm.
You pack that stuff down, it's almost
Yeah.
like asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe specify paving, some,
Yeah.
paving or, other hard material,
Suitable material.
other suitable hard material. We'll make that, sort of put it that way, so you have the option.
Yeah, the process asphalt that they.
Are the buildings paved or concrete floors?
Concrete floors.
Okay, no dirt floors in there. The building, the northerly building, the one that's a little bigger, that is attached to water and sewer. So what, you've got bathrooms in there?
Yes.
Is there any living quarters in there?
What do you mean by living quarters?
Well, place,
No,
No, there isn't.
No, there's not.
is it heated?
No, it's not heated.
Bathroom is.
I was gonna ask, how does the pipe start?
Yeah, the bathroom is, otherwise the pipe would have burst over these.
Okay, so it's got a bathroom for the workers.
Yep.
But there's no heater in there at all, no
On
resin
the
or
bathroom there is, on the main building, no.
nothing? Okay, and on the smaller building,
No.
nothing.
And the smaller buildings, not.
Future wise, it's something else that we want to get a gas line down there to put a heater on, but that's down the road.
Okay, so there is not a gas line down there
There's
now.
not a gas line.
Gotcha.
Excuse me, and the storage building is not connected to water or sewer?
No, it's pretty wide open.
Okay.
But there's electricity to the
Yes,
storage building.
there is.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And no one here from the public on this case, I don't believe? Okay. Anything further from members of the board? So I'll just, before we close the hearing, I'll just review the conditions in no particular order. I can put them in better order later. Assuming I can read my, the site plan approval is for the use of the property for the insulation business only, and there's to be no subletting of space. The business vehicles are to be parked only within the area shown on the plan as limited industrial, i.e. not on the driveway out to Franklin Street. Let's see.
Vehicles must be registered.
Yeah, thank you. Vehicles must be registered,
Insured and operational.
insured, registered, and operational. Hours of operation, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Friday, 8 to 4 Saturday, closed on Sunday. No exterior storage of materials or trash. Trash, if any, is to be stored in the what's shown as the storage building and be removed for disposal to another site. Any repairs to vehicles to be only for the business vehicles and to be conducted within what's shown as the metal warehouse with the doors closed. No backing out of trucks onto Franklin Street. And let's see, the first 40 feet of the gravel driveway from Franklin Street, the first 40 feet in, to be either paved or covered with a processed asphalt or similar material to create a hard surface to limit erosion and to prevent any gravel from the driveway from being brought out onto Franklin Street. Anything else?
That's good.
Okay.
Just a notation.
Is there a time frame on that? Paving?
Yeah,
I know he doesn't have the money, but.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to go down there and say.
shall I say within a year? Something like that.
No, the gravel, the summer will take it, the gravel, at least to get everything gravel.
Well, say we want the first 40 feet from Franklin Street, either pave it or put reprocessed asphalt, something hard other than what the gravel surface that you have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be able to do it.
Is it 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, 6 months on that.
Mr. Chairman, just a notation, and correct me if I'm wrong, just for the record, that this property is pre-existing non-conforming,
Right, and well, the use is conforming,
but
but
the
the property
property itself.
pre-existing, and I don't know if there are. I'm looking at the side setback on the metal warehouse is probably less than, that's also non-conforming. So some of the dimensions may also be non-conforming.
Or that,
Good one. Yeah,
that the property, or the property preceded zoning.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that lot was cut off in 1960.
So before zoning.
We did have zoning, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's a,
It was signed by the planning, Kirby in August of 1960. That Kirby?
60?
Huh?
Yeah, so
Nineteen
zoning was adopted in 58 and the
March
first,
of 1960.
1960. So the first public hearing When did that happen?
Mm.
I think it was adopted in 58, and the first public hearing was March of 1960.
It says in the zoning book that that's when it was.
Yeah, that's right around that time.
Yeah, I'm just,
Kirby signed it
And I'm
off.
sure there wasn't anything to do with this in that first zoning.
right. But the fact that it's a pork chop lot suggests that it was created before zoning or,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, it only has 25 foot front.
Right,
Right, that's the key.
right.
I don't want it to ever be a precedent for any other,
Right.
any other one of your plants.
And just so the board knows, I mean, the fact that the driveway is in the residential zone, this comes up in zoning when you have a kind of a landlocked industrial zone. You have to allow somebody to use even a residential zone to, as a driveway or roadway to get
That's
to,
a
get
whole
out.
length of Franklin Street has that problem.
Yeah, we have lots of properties with that issue because of the way we've drawn the industrial zones. So, okay.
Setting you guys up. I wouldn't approve those.
Okay, but this is pre-existing. All right. All right, so that's the condition. So can I have a motion to approve site plan approval?
I'll make a motion
Okay,
with all those conditions.
conditions by Mr. Curran, second. Mr. Andrews, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, 5-0. You're all set to go.
Look,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Ross.
Vacation in Inglewood.
You smoke this one?
Good to see you.
How big is puzzle, so what do they have?
You're gonna hang around the rest of this model? Great.
Just the floor.
Cal?
Back in 2017,
Okay, so,
changed our minds. Chen?
Are you still leasing the house?
Yes.
okay,
That's
That's a grind.
an issue to get what I want.
all right, so let me move on to this. So we've been asked by a potential applicant to come and discuss the project with us informally. And we do this on occasion when I think it'd be helpful to the applicant and lead to a more successful public hearing. But I do always state for the record that this is not a public hearing. We haven't advertised anything to abutters. And, we'll give you some feedback on what we think might be issues or concerns. But we're not, even if we say we think it's good, we reserve the right to change our minds when this comes before us for a public hearing. But, it's all important because I don't want anyone in the public to think like this was kind of prearranged. So if you'll identify yourselves for the record and explain why you're here, we'll just go forward from there.
Sure. My name's Dave Clinton from Collins Civil Engineering Group. We have an office out at 225 South Main Street, West Bridgewater. And we're here tonight to...
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, for the record, we're on tape here, so,
Leonard King, no,
Okay.
the property owner.
okay, thank you.
Close to this one, yeah. I was gonna say, I know somebody.
Carol, do you need the engineer's
seen
card or?
Does he have one?
Yeah, do you have a card for the secretary or
This is Dave,
just give
and it's
spelling your name?
Klenert.
Okay,
Clinton, yep.
okay. Floor's yours.
So, I think everybody's familiar with this property. It's the light industrial zone property that's behind the residential houses on Franklin Street. And
So this is down where the cell tower is?
this is
Towards
where
South
the tower
Ave,
is,
just
yeah.
in case people aren't
The
familiar.
tower is right here.
Okay,
And this plan right here
So
is
what was approved prior to the?
this right here. This
So
was the
that's-
2017 variance request for the tower.
And that was for all commercial stuff, right?
That was for commercial stuff. Yeah, and so it had a long road and it had 6 lots. When I started doing the parking and the stormwater, these lots went down to like 4. It was just too tight. So we decided to go to the MBTA route, and we went in front of the town to see if it's within a quarter mile of the train station. Because of the tower, the town did not include it in the MBTA district. So we're back to square one again, and we decided to, this is kind of just a local explain where it is. The train station's over here, or actually right here, and this is our property. And this is just the existing conditions. We have a way in, we have a garage here, pavement, gravel, the tower. And this is just our proposal. Now, a couple of reasons why I'm here tonight is there's no use description for ZBA for kind of what we want to do. There is a use here for contractor space. We'd like to do that and put the rest in storage units. We could easily cut we plan on putting gates here for the storage units, and they would not be open at night. It would not be accessible at night. This would be a 5-bay garage or contractor's bay with offices.
That's a new building?
We would tear down the garage here, and we would tear down the garage here. Yep. So there's no use description in the zoning bylaws for storage units, but I've seen them around town.
Yeah, I was going to
I
ask.
wanted to get your feedback on light industrial use for storage units.
It's like that one on Essex Street isn't all that old, Bob.
Jim
How was-
McDonald's?
excuse me,
That's probably 18 years they started it,
which one?
the one on Essex Street.
Yeah,
Then-
near the train tracks, just
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, and then there's Storage USA.
Yeah, that's, I did that, that's 20 years old.
So
20, but Jimmy McDonald.
Around there.
what was
Yeah,
that?
he did one building at a time.
Those are all gonna be storage units.
And
These will all be storage units.
so how was that? Did you fit that under a category? Are you
He went
scared?
to the
The
board.
tower would still be
Oh, that
here.
was
That
him?
would be my
Yeah,
second
oh,
question.
yeah. And
It
I
doesn't-
think this is probably in a nice spot.
Okay. Because the one on Essex Street, if they came to us, it was probably because they were keeping the house on the property. So it
Well,
was
then
really
he
two
put a
uses.
pet food.
Right. I remember the pet food, which, yeah, we figured, what the heck. But I don't really remember the case with the storage units.
Do you remember that, John?
What?
We had one discussion.
Yeah. Wayne, let me just finish with
They
Bob.
found a dead guy in the freezer over in that storage unit.
Oh,
Remember that?
no,
We won't have any frozen units.
we'll make that a condition.
So this is storage or this is cold storage?
Cold storage, yeah. No, I was just asking Bob because I was wondering, when you say there's nothing in the bylaw that kind of fits this category, what did we do previously for the other
Well,
ones?
I think you could look at it as, basically, it's not a retail use, you're renting them out to people to use the storage units. I think a more restrictive use would be what we just saw, the wholesale storage under a roof would be permitted within the limited industrial area, which I think would be more restrictive than a retail storage use.
We did those on Bedford Street, though. mean,
Yeah, I think if
did
you
those
look up
on Bedford Street.
the one on Essex Street, the storage, you'll see what we require them to go.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at the,
Next to Laughlin Chevrolet too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a business.
Just did Bose Electric.
Bose Electric, there's one.
That was not that long ago. You
I'm,
might
I'm,
do that.
I'll make a motion.
well, and I'm sorry.
You talk to the-
Wayne, I interrupted you when you were talking to him about something and I wasn't hearing what you guys were saying, so.
I'm just asking if the tower was gonna stay.
That was my second question to the board, is the tower. The tower is, because there's no living space,
Right, that would be the concern.
yeah, the tower is the concern because it would be 3 times the height of the tower. Now, it already has a decision back in 2017 to, I think it was 125-foot fall zone, as opposed to 3 times the height. But because we're changing,
And you
The lot
didn't
is-
exercise that. permits,
Yeah.
so that's off the table.
That's off the table.
Yeah.
And if we go 3 times the tower length, just a little bit of the road would be inside that radius.
Yeah, so just,
So I
let me
didn't know-
just, for the sake of the members who may not be familiar with this, so we have a cell tower overlay district or something like that in our zoning bylaw. And back when cell towers were first being approved, there was a lot of concern that they'd fall over. And so most town bylaws created a radius around the tower and said you can't have either any buildings or any residential buildings or whatever within the area where the tower might fall. So I think we had 3 times is what we have in the bylaw. And I guess when we held the hearing, when you were before us previously, we said, well, that doesn't really make sense. We'll let you only have it, it's only going to tip over once. So we reduced the radius. And is it limited, is our cell tower bylaw limited to residential?
It's limited to living spaces.
Okay,
So
okay.
there would be no living spaces here.
okay,
And even if we did fall under the 3 times the amount, it would just encompass a corner of the building here and some of the road.
okay.
So I didn't know if, a waiver would be requested on something like that, or, I know that this is off the, that has been passed. But I just didn't know how the board felt about it, having a little bit of the road inside the fall zone of 3 times
So
the,
you kept the closest storage building to the tower as what already was approved?
yeah, what, what was approved for the.
For the commercial
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that.
But is it,
So that would be the
Have you talked to any of the abutters of the street?
We haven't talked to any abutters. Have you talked to any abutters?
Probably.
So, did you talk to the guy when you first go into the property on the right? Is he
Talk
still
to him
there?
here and there.
Is
Not
he still-
really a fan of his, so I don't talk to him often, but he's been around a little bit, half as long as I have, but
Yeah, he complained a lot. when
he
was-
complains a lot. That's why I limit my talking to
But
him.
then he doesn't want anything, he just complains.
Exactly. He likes to complain. He's a big complainer.
Yeah, so he's the one that I would, but I don't know, this doesn't require variance.
The third thing was the way through the residential area. And it was determined back in 2017 that it was a way that already existed. It didn't require a waiver.
It doesn't.
So that was just the third.
is that a private road though into it, or is that a public road in there?
It's private and it's
Okay.
always been considered a way.
Okay.
You gotta maintain it though.
Yeah.
And again, does this lot predate zoning? What is the
Yeah,
frontage?
the tower actually predates the zoning by a couple of years, and the lot itself predates.
The zoning was here before the town.
Yeah,
But I mean, like the zoning. Yeah,
I mean,
the tower was here in 1997,
Zoning
and,
totally-
I don't think they had tower in the zoning. regs.
no, I think we're just saying predates.
The tower
Yeah.
regulation.
Yeah, what I'm asking is, and I can't even see like what's the frontage of the lot? Is the lot pre-existing? Does the lot violate zoning, but it's pre-existing in terms of
It's on Franklin.
It's,
frontage?
the width of the lot is 45 feet for
Okay.
the frontage, but the road would be 45 feet. A new road would come in, and we'd have the correct frontage and offsets for the units. This would be a cul-de-sac here.
So you're gonna do 20?
Oh, so you're not gonna use an existing driveway, you're
We're
gonna create,
gonna we're gonna improve the way.
Okay.
So that
but it's still gonna
emergency
be,
vehicles.
it's still gonna be essentially a driveway.
Yes, we met with the fire chief and
Okay.
we looked at, and this would be creating frontages, so it would be a private road.
So you're gonna do 24 wide?
Yeah.
Road?
So, all right, so you are gonna subdivide this
Yes,
property?
this would be
Oh,
subdivided. Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So, all right, so you are gonna create a road, you'll have to go to the planning board for subdivision approval. Okay.
But
Um,
won't they be creating non-conforming lots by doing that?
well, will the lots conform
The
to
lots will
zoning?
all conform.
It will.
There's only gonna be 2 lots on this large parcel. So all the lots will conform.
So subdivided, it's gonna get subdivided into 2 lots.
2 lots, yeah.
Okay.
This is Franklin Street, right?
Yeah.
There used to be a, used to sell dirt here, I can't remember, back 40, 50 years ago.
So Lynch's.
Used to have dirt around that you
The
sold.
Lynches.
Huh?
The Lynches?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we moved the earth, yeah, excavation company.
Because I had to go down there a few times and get some.
You're telling us your age right there.
Well, you-
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions.
Yeah, we bought it from them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when you first started doing all this stuff with the tower, there was a lot of problems. We weren't very happy with that to begin with.
Okay, let me run down the table here, just see if people have any more questions. Mr. Jones?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Mr. Andrews?
No.
Okay, Mr.
Nope.
Cohen, no, Mr. Keeman?
None.
Mr. Kimball?
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman. So this is going to be subdivided into 2 lots. You're going to get rid of the existing buildings that are on the lots now?
That's correct. These will be raised.
Okay, what about the first building?
This,
No, the one behind it.
oh,
Is that going to be part of the lot or not?
the building behind it?
No. You've got, on the Franklin Street, you got one right on the street,
Right here.
the next building down. That's a garage now, I believe? No.
The front building.
This garage here?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that will stay, yeah.
that's going to stay, is that,
This lot's not gonna change at all.
What is that building?
that's a garage.
That's a residential.
That's a
spot.
Is
residential
that, you
garage.
own that?
Yeah, I live in that right now. There's a house and a 4-car garage.
But you subdivided another lot off of this years ago, right?
Yes,
And
down
that's
the
all-
street, down the
and
street.
that's all
Down here, yeah.
Pardon?
You built on that.
Yes.
There was a house built on that. Now, is the storage unit going to have an office with restrooms and all that type
It
of
will
stuff?
just have an office here, and we're providing, with the office, a restroom.
Okay. And there'll be no sewage, have to be pumped up to the street, I assume?
There'll be an E1, we're proposing E1 here, small E1 for a residential 2-inch force main.
Yeah.
This building here can be gravity fed for the main out in the street.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, it was good,
surprising.
yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
No, I think it's a reasonable use for the property. It's just, how many units are you going to have?
We may lose these units depending on how big the basin or what kind of basin I need. But right now, it seems to be between 180 and 200, somewhere in that number, but it's not definitive.
Okay, I think when you make a formal proposal, you should estimate the traffic counts in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually rent one that's about this size, and I never see more than 3 or 4 cars.
It's like a cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And mine works on a gate key that doesn't open at night, so I can't go there at night. It's just
That's all I have, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
would you propose to have that?
yeah,
Gates there
it
for
would be
this?
a gate key. That way
Yeah.
the fire department could have it as well.
And you don't have a problem with hours of operation?
No.
And the storage buildings would be unheated?
They would be just vacant
Just-
buildings. They
yeah.
wouldn't even have possibly lights in them, just a garage door opening.
Right, no, yeah, okay. So what property would the cell tower be on?
It would be on the storage unit
All
property.
right, so potentially we might need a variance for 2 uses on the same property. That might, which, I don't think would be an issue, but I think just,
Was the cell tower originally granted a variance or special permit?
you got a special permit as a cell tower.
So would you need a modification of that special permit?
Well, they're not doing anything to the cell tower, it's really just,
But they're putting that on a separate, different.
yeah, I think we'd have to, I'd pull out the
Yeah.
original permit on that to see if we needed to modify that in some
Sometimes
way.
an accessory use, really, it's not, that's something.
But that's true, I mean, we haven't, I don't know how we've handled it, like even down on,
Well, what if you put a cell tower on top of a building?
well, that's what I'm wondering, like the ones that are on the chimney at the Bostonian Shoe Building.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Did we-
accessory to the primary use.
Yeah,
So the new primary use would be storage units, and
And this works in regardless because I believe that there's a bylaw that says every 20 years you need to renew your permit for your cell tower. And this was done in 1997. So
like we've enforced that. Huh?
yeah, but, and I only know that because I talked to a couple of
No,
friends of mine who happen to be
they've been to
lawyers.
the Board of Appeals since then.
Yes, they.
You guys have been back for new antennas.
2017 was Wells last time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I made you guys come back in 17, was it? Yeah, so they're all set, and they had to get a structural report and all that.
Okay.
I don't know what the stipulations say in the original special permit, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say when you apply, submit copies of these, any special permits related to the antenna. Submit a copy of our previous decision on this property.
Yep.
Even though, it didn't get recorded or whatnot, I think it still informs our decision if we know what we did previously.
I actually have copies here if you guys want to see them and review them later on. Or
Maybe
Yeah,
you can email them to John, and you can get them to us.
I can email them to you. That way you can just have them informally for your records.
So, if you give me one copy, I'll make a PDF and email it to the members of the board. Unless if you got enough for
I've got
everybody.
lots of copies here,
Okay, hand them out.
When are you going to file?
As soon as we can. This is just a preliminary drawing. I have to do the design, and that may take a month or so.
Okay. I was trying to find the thing about the fall zones.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, I don't.
Will,
I think this is certainly a lot less intrusive use than
right,
what we were looking at previously.
will all the storage be within the, what do they call it, will there be any open storage?
No. In fact,
So you can't bring in a trailer, a Winnebago, or
No,
a boat in the wintertime?
Which is actually a bit of a problem with the Essex Street property. There's some vehicles on there, so
I would think there's going to be cameras on these buildings, and the owners will know who's parking there overnight or what's being done there.
but that's something we'd certainly make a condition on so the building inspector can enforce it.
Okay. Well, just that if this was a wholesale storage business in a roof structure, it's allowed by permit. So this is just, the only difference would be this is retail.
Yeah, well, in other towns, they consider it warehouse storage.
At the end of the day, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look up what we did on Essex Street and see how we described it at that time. We might have, just so in case we have a precedent that we've treated it as an allowed use. I mean, you can apply for a variance, and if we decide it's not needed, then that's
The last one
simplifies
would be
it.
on the entrance. We wouldn't be able to put any curves in the entrance, which is required by the zoning or subdivision regs. And I've already talked to the fire chief, and we've gone over the Pierce regulations for turning radiuses for fire trucks and apparatus. And I put it here. He's really happy with it. So.
Okay. Well, and since you're going through subdivision approval, anything related to the width and materials of the road and everything isn't something that we would deal with. We'd leave that to the planning board to address. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
About fire hydrants and that type of thing?
Yeah,
I assume you're gonna have to have a few of them?
Yeah, there's, because this will need a mechanical room, the fire chief informed me that the hydrant needed to be within 100 feet of the mechanical room of the building. So we moved it to the side for the fire chief, and we got fire suppression and domestic water lines. And then we have a domestic water line out to the office.
The fire department's not requiring a hydrant within?
Yeah, there'll be a hydrant right
No,
here.
I'm saying within the property itself.
Oh, no, he was happy with this. He didn't require any fire hydrants further out.
Okay. I would have thought he would. How far back from the road are those storage units going to be roughly?
This furthest one back is probably about 300 feet.
Oh, that's not that far.
No.
No. Okay.
Plus you got one in the cul-de-sac and you hide them.
Okay.
Yeah, and the height of these buildings are gonna be short, right?
Yeah, these are going to be one-story metal buildings.
Yes, but there is, decent risk of fire when you've got storage units.
You know what people put in?
Yeah.
I don't know what they try to do to get stuff out of there.
Okay.
Have you looked
We
at
had,
the
we had
buildings?
one that
Have you
was
looked at the
frozen to
buildings
the
yet?
ground. pour gas on it, melt the thing.
You seen the ones that
Three
they
units.
put in?
No.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I seen them from the street.
There's nothing to
I know.
They have buildings now.
I asked Robbie if I could just put slabs in and throw. They're just tin tents with a light bulb in the middle.
They have buildings now where they run a water 1% grade, so you can actually grade everything down to the basins, and the slab is on a 1% grade.
This would all be asphalt, correct?
Asphalt drive, yep, all asphalt.
But the actual storage units would be sitting on asphalt or on concrete?
They'll be on a concrete base, and
Okay.
then and they'll be designed to. It may not be this. The layout will be this, but the size may be different. You know, I just put in a bunch of 30s and 20s, and just to see how many I can get mixing them up. And, the layout will look just like this, though. And like I said, we may lose this row here just for drainage purposes. Stormwater management's pretty strict these days.
I finally found the provision in the wireless bylaw about the fall zone. It's the minimum distance from the base of any ground-mounted personal wireless service facility to any property line, public way, habitable dwelling, or habitable dwelling shall be 3 times the height of the facility, including the antenna. So the wording is habitable dwelling, which makes it, because I was thinking, well, habitable building, does that include a commercial building where there are going to be people present? But it's clearly a dwelling.
And you said public way, not private.
And it said public way, so as long as,
As long as it remains private,
yeah.
then it's
So
then
the
variance
sign-
isn't required.
And we might, and I'm not sure what how far that cell tower is from property lines
Oh,
now.
it's quite a ways. It's more than 3 times.
Okay.
This is the property line over here.
But again, if we'll take a look at whatever decision we reach.
Yeah, I could draw that on the plan that I
Yeah.
present to you.
Yeah, okay. Anything else, Mr. Blunt?
And the carrier's got no problem with this?
But you know, I mean, the
Didn't
nice
ask
thing about this is that we don't have to interrupt any electricity, underground
It's
electric.
still a straight line.
Oh, yeah, what's the access, is the access to the tower going to be maintained?
Yes, we'll have a paved driveway around the tower with 2 parking spaces here.
But they don't have a problem you have on the gate, an electronic gate?
They'll need the key, but I think it's private property as long as they have access to their tower.
Yeah, but and they usually notify you when they're gonna do anything anyway, right?
Yeah.
How many cell companies are on the tower now, do you know?
I'm not sure, but there were 3 or 4 before.
Okay.
They're consolidating some
Yeah,
all the time, so.
All
And
right.
they all have access to that?
Yeah, they can get out there, the workers, whoever has to. They were just out there a week or 2 ago, putting something else on there. But
So we're not gonna interrupt any of their underground utilities. We put them right here where we're just not gonna develop that part.
You probably want to show that on the plans where all their lines are and so forth. All right, all right, I think, yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Family's looking for growth.
Everybody's fine. I know that
No, thank you. Hope this was helpful to you.
this is very helpful. I appreciate everything.
Okay. All right, see you in a while.
See you at the end of
What did you say? It'll probably be a couple.
probably the end of March. It has to be ready
Yeah, and then it's like, 6 to 8 weeks for us to schedule the hearing.
It's got to go before the planning board, being a subdivision.
Yeah, would you do that first or after?
Yeah, that's why we're here first, because we know we have to go in front of the planning board first. And we
Okay.
didn't want to do all that work without kind of
Yeah.
some feedback from.
So leave them up in the air so they don't know what.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, couple of minutes to be approved. So for February, we have minutes for case number 1, Last Resort Enterprises. This is the second hearing on 101 Bedford Street. So let's see, it was Mr. Jones, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Blas, Mr. Kimball, and myself were sitting on that one because Coven couldn't be there for the second hearing.
Motion to approve.
Second by Mr. Andrews, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. And the general minutes for the meeting for February 10th.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Kimball, second by Mr. Andrews, all in favor? 5-0. Okay, so we have a hearing on March 24th with two cases. I'll send you PDFs of the application. One is Jerome Street, which I think is just like an addition to a residential building.
Bathroom.
Yeah, setback issue. And the other is on Auburn Street, an existing industrial property where they want to put an additional garage or something like that, I think, so probably not.
Asphalt.
John, I'm away until the second week here,
Okay.
so I'm leaving the end of this.
Whoa,
Yeah, we're
wow,
driving far.
wow.
5.5 weeks.
Where are you going?
We're going to Inglewood, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we rent a house there every year, so we don't let us stay a little.
Okay, so when are you going to be back?
I'll be back the end of the first week of April.
Okay, all right. So March 24th, we have those two cases. March 30, yep, and March 31st, is that definite? Did you get a butters list yet for, okay. Likely to have, we have 447 Harvard Street and about 4 surrounding properties behind it that Steve Egan is going to be, that's what we,
Yeah.
yeah, we got the plans in and I said, let's hand them out tonight so you can look at them.
How many?
30.
Yeah.
So what's this with the 300 unit project?
Well, let me just finish on this. So that one, if we get the abutters list in time and everything, we'll put that on March 31st because I wanted to have that be a separate one. And we don't have anything scheduled beyond that, but if we do, I'll bear in mind that, it certainly won't be until April, probably towards the end of April. Go ahead, Bob.
Have you heard anything about 300 units in East Bridgewater?
So I saw a post on it, and so I looked it up on the East Bridgewater website. And if you want, you can go on the East Bridgewater Town website, go to the Zoning Board of Appeals page, and they've got links to all the project documents. That is a town-backed 40B, what they call a LIP project, Local Initiative Program Project. So the selectmen are backing it. It's been in the works for 2 or 3 years. And it involves for sale townhouses, I guess, on the Winter Street side of it, away from Bedford Street. And then there'll be rental units, I guess, apartment buildings closer to Bedford Street. I'm not even sure if the two will connect because there's a lot of wetlands in the middle, so they might not even connect. And as part of it, the town wants to have a sewer district and the description of it made it sound like they're not sewering the downtown area, but just north of the downtown area in East Bridgewater up to the Whitman town line. They have a separate agreement with Brockton to pump to Brockton. So they need to build a main across this property and then to connect, I guess, to the Brockton main that runs along Route 14.
Right above us.
Yeah. So part of their deal with the developer is they're going to grant an easement to run the sewer main and they'll give the developer the right to connect. It's only 75,000 gallons.
So they'll use our sewer lines?
No. Well, that's a good question. I mean, that main, didn't we build that main?
Well, the debate on
We
all
just
this,
did it.
on Auburn Street. So I don't know. I'm not sure how.
Depends on where they connect.
Maybe they're connected in the Brockton side. I'm not sure of that. I couldn't really tell
they
that.
could go up Winter Street and then onto Argyle Street,
Yeah.
where it crosses Argyle.
Yeah, to be honest, when I saw the map of the sewer main, the East Bridgewater main, it only showed it out to Winter Street. So I'm not sure where it goes from there to connect to the Brockton. So maybe the connection is in Brockton.
So they're building close to Whitman because they can get sewer.
And they got the land.
They got the land.
They got the land.
But then that's the easiest place to put the sewer probably.
Yeah, apparently it's at a low point and whatever. So I don't know whether the sewer project was already in the works and they kind of piggybacked onto it and said, hey, we'll give you the, I don't know, but it's at least it's sort of backed by the selectmen. This goes back to 22 or 23. So it's been in the works for a couple of years. The impact on Whitman particularly would be based on, I think, the hearing notes I read was to get to the Winter Street side of it, construction vehicles would be going along Route 14 and down Winter Street.
Beaver Street and Winter.
Yeah, to get to that patch. So there'd be that impact on Whitman. But it's not a huge number of units, the townhouse units, 20, 30 or something like that, I think. I think it's 80 for the apartment units closer to Bedford Street.
It's 240 units.
Oh, that's right, it's 240. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, it's not like something out of the blue other than it's in East Bridgewater, so we didn't know anything about it. I don't know that I think the planning board's supposed to be notified when there's something like that, but I'm not.
Where do you think they're getting water from?
From East Bridgewater, there's existing water.
Enough
East
to-
Bridgewater has its own water system. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. East Bridgewater doesn't have sewer, but has water. So I don't think the water is the issue; it's the sewer.
Yeah.
And the condos are not going to be connected to the sewer. They're going to be on septic system. So I don't know why, but it's
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Well, because if Brockton's only going to give them 75,000 gallons.
Well, this project is only taking 17,000 gallons of the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So again, maybe that was part of the deal with East Bridgewater that they would put the townhouses on septic systems to leave more capacity available for the other businesses in East Bridgewater or houses. I don't know what East Bridgewater's motivation is for sewering along Bedford Street. I would have thought they'd be more concerned about sewering downtown than up there, but whatever. So that's the deal. This actually has been in the works and I think the ZBA's been holding hearings since last year on this already, 4 or 5 hearings on it. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else?
I will be here for the 24th.
Okay. And the 31st?
No,
No. Okay.
I'll be going back to 25th.
Okay, so for the 31st, let's just make sure, Mr. Jones, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Kimball, myself, Mr. Blas, can we
Might
be
not be
here
here.
for the 31st? Because we'll need everybody for that.
I'm not going to Florida this year.
That would be Steve Egan's project. Okay,
If you get the abutment list,
yeah, I think, do you have either about a list? Yeah. There was an question about whether we might need an about list from East Bridgewater, because some of it might abut East Bridgewater, so.
what's the issue with the assessors? Is it,
I'm waiting for East Bridgewater.
you waiting just for East Bridgewater?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Oh, which side?
likely that we'll have it.
Is this on the other side of Harvard Street? So not on the what I'll call Whitman side. It's on the other side of 14.
Yeah. This one's on the right.
Yes, it's down, it's down towards the East Bridgewater town line.
Yeah, heading toward Sullivan.
In fact, we
On the other
approved,
side of
we gave for 447 Harvard Street, which is a long, narrow lot.
They tore down.
We approved a variance to allow a pork, was it 2 lots or a
Yeah.
pork chop lot? We approved a variance and then they didn't exercise it. And instead, he has bought some of the rear properties. I actually have a map. I made a map for myself of, if you want to, well, you'll see it on the plans anyway. But he put 4 or 5 lots together behind, sort of rear properties.
And this is gonna be, senior housing?
That's what it said in the application, yeah. So,
That was weird. There was no market for senior housing when he did Auburn.
yes, I
When he did-
was going to bring that up at the hearing. I mean, I'm glad they can do it, but
It's gonna be an apartment building and then some condos. And apparently, looks like he's got a couple single-family homes. I don't know if that's allowed or not. Condos have to be 2 units minimum. But that's something to,
All right, but I assume
Yeah.
that's on the plan, so. Did he go before the planning board yet?
not yet.
Okay, okay.
But I guess singles, they might be accessory units.
When are you leaving?
Thursday.
Huh?
This week.
Well, you're leaving this week.
All right, I will, with all that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn
Motion?
by Mr. Curran, second,
Kimball?
and Mr. Kimball, all in favor?
No.
5-0. Meeting's adjourned.